Welcome to Narrative Strokes. It was a late shift, one of those quiet nights where the city seems to be holding its breath. The kind of night you almost welcome a call, just to break the monotony. Then the radio crackled. Unit, respond to a possible 1016. Domestic disturbance at vague rural route descriptor. Caller is a juvenile. 1016 domestic. My gut tightened. Domestics were always unpredictable, always a powder keg. Juvenile caller? Even worse. That usually means things are really bad if a kid's the one reaching out. I keyed the mic. Dispatch, any further details on that 1016? The dispatcher's voice came back, a little tinny. Negative. Call was very broken, heavy static, sounded like a young male. Managed to get the address, but not much else. Sounded distressed. Mentioned something about fighting, maybe a parent. 10-4, en route. My partner, let's call him Jay, grunted from the passenger seat. Kid calling on a domestic? Never a good sign. Nope, I agreed. The address was way out on the edge of our jurisdiction, bordering on county. One of those places where houses are spread thin, swallowed by trees and long driveways. Takes a while to get out there, and backup takes even longer. The drive itself felt off. The further we got from the city lights, the darker the world became. Street lights became a memory. The only illumination came from our headlights, cutting a way through what felt like an endless tunnel of trees. The kind of dark that presses in on you. We finally found the turnoff, a gravel road that was more potholes than path. The house itself was set way back, almost invisible from the road. A 2-story, older build, but it looked lived in. Maybe a bit unkempt, toys scattered on the porch, that kind of thing. All the windows were dark. A single car, an older sedan, was parked in the driveway. An unsettling silence hung over the place. Quiet, Jay muttered, and I couldn't disagree. Too quiet. We parked a little way back, cut the engine. The silence was almost absolute, broken only by the crunch of gravel under our boots as we approached. I did a quick visual sweep. No obvious signs of forced entry, no sounds from within. The house just looked still, expectant. Police, anyone home? I called out, knocking firmly on the front door. The wood felt solid. Nothing, just that heavy silence. Jay tried the doorbell. A faint, standard chime echoed from somewhere deep inside, then died. Still, no response. All right, I said, keeping my voice low. I'll check windows on this side. You take the back, see if you can spot anything. Got it. Jay moved off around the side of the house. I went from window to window on the front and one side. They were all dark, curtains drawn in most. I cupped my hands around my eyes, trying to peer in through a gap in one, but it was like looking into a void. My flashlight beam just got swallowed by the blackness. A prickle of unease started to crawl up my spine. This wasn't just a quiet house. It felt wrong. Then it happened. A sudden, brilliant flash from an upstairs window, almost blinding, followed instantaneously by the unmistakable, booming crack of a gunshot. Muffled, but definitely a gunshot from inside. My heart hammered. Jay came running back around the corner, eyes wide. You hear that? Gunshot! Upstairs! I yelled, already moving towards the front door. Dispatch! Shots fired at the Wake Rural Route Descriptor location. We're making entry. No time for pleasantries now. I kicked the door hard, right near the lock. It shuddered, then gave way with a splintering crack, flying inwards and banging against an interior wall. Police! Show yourselves! I shouted into the darkness, my weapon drawn, flashlight beam cutting a nervous path ahead. Jay was right beside me, doing the same. The inside of the house was pitch black, blacker than outside, if that was possible. A close, stuffy smell hit us, stale air, a hint of old food, and something else. Something metallic, almost like copper, faint, but there. The air was heavy, cold, colder than it should have been. Police, if you're in here, make yourself known. Jay's voice echoed unnervingly. We moved slowly, methodically. Standard room clearing, what we're trained for. Flashlights darting into corners, weapons ready. The silence was back, thick and oppressive, broken only by our own breathing and the occasional scuff of our boots on the hardwood floor. Anyone who fired that shot, come out slowly with your hands in the air, I commanded, my voice tight. Still nothing. It felt like we were shouting into a vacuum. We cleared the small entryway, moved into what looked like a living room. Furniture was ordinary, if a little cluttered. A TV, a sofa, kids' toys scattered on the floor. It looked like a family lived here, a family that had suddenly stopped. Then, a flicker of movement in the periphery of my flashlight beam, at the far end of a hallway leading deeper into the house. Freeze! Police! A small figure, a kid, darting across the hallway. Looked like a boy, maybe 10 or 12. He was running, desperation in his movements. His small face was a pale blur in the split second I saw him. Before I could even process it, before I could shout another command, another figure stepped out from a doorway just beyond where the kid had run. Taller, older, holding something long. A shotgun. My blood ran cold. It all happened in a split second. The older boy, teenager maybe, raised the shotgun. Another blinding flash. Another deafening roar that seemed to suck all the air from the hallway. The little kid crumpled, just dropped, like a puppet with its strings cut. No! I screamed, raw, instinctive. Jay and I both opened fire. Our service weapons barked, muzzle flashes momentarily illuminating the horrifying scene. We emptied half our magazines at the figure with the shotgun. Our bullets, they went through him. I saw them. I saw the rounds pass through his form as if he were made of smoke, impacting the wall behind him with dull thuds. He didn't even flinch. He just stood there, the shotgun still smoking. Then he turned his head, slowly, and looked right at us. I couldn't see his face clearly in the shifting flashlight beams, but I felt his gaze, cold, empty. He raised the shotgun again, leveled it at us. Jay and I both braced, instinctively flinching, expecting the impact, the pain. He fired. The flash, the roar. Nothing. We were still standing, untouched. Adrenaline coursed through me, hot and sickening. My ears were ringing. And then he was gone. The older boy, the shotgun, vanished. Just not there anymore. I swung my flashlight wildly. The hallway was empty. Jay was doing the same, his breath coming in ragged gasps. What the hell was that? He stammered. My light found the spot where the younger boy had fallen. He was gone too. No body, no blood, nothing. Just the clean floorboards and the pockmarks on the wall where our rounds had hit. My mind was reeling. Hallucination? Mass hysteria? But we both saw it. We both fired our weapons. The smell of gunpowder from our guns was thick in the air, mingling with that faint phantom scent. Did we just imagine that? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. No way, Jay said, his voice hoarse. No damn way. I saw it. I shot at him. We stood there for a long moment, the silence pressing in again, now laced with an icy, unamiable dread. This wasn't a domestic. This wasn't anything we'd ever trained for. We need to clear the rest of the house, I said, trying to inject some normalcy, some procedure back into the situation. But my hands were shaking. Check upstairs. That's where the first shot came from. Jay nodded, looking pale but resolute. Right. We moved towards the stairs, every creak of the old wood under our boots sounding like a gunshot in the oppressive silence. The stale air smell was stronger up here. Each stop felt like we were descending further into a nightmare, not climbing. The upstairs landing was small, leading to a few closed doors. We checked the first one, a child's bedroom. Clothes strewn about, posters on the wall. Empty. The second, a bathroom. Towels on the floor, equally silent. The chill in the air seemed to deepen. The last door at the end of the hall, it was slightly ajar. I pushed it open slowly with the barrel of my gun, Jay covering me. My flashlight beam pierced the darkness. A bedroom, a large bed in the center, unmade, and on the bed, two shapes. Vague outlines under a rumpled duvet. As my light hit them, the scene replayed. The older boy was there again, standing beside the bed, shotgun in hand. He looked younger somehow, his face contorted in something that wasn't quite rage, wasn't quite pain, more like a terrible, hollow resolve. He raised the shotgun, aimed it at the figures in the bed. Don't! I yelled, even though some part of me knew it was useless. He fired, once, twice. The flashes lit up the room, the roars deafening. The figures on the bed, they didn't move. Then he turned, that same slow, deliberate turn, and he saw us, standing in the doorway. There was no surprise on his face, just that same chilling emptiness. He raised the shotgun towards us again, fired. Again, the flash, the roar. Again, nothing hit us. And then, just like before, he flickered and vanished. The figures on the bed, gone. The room was empty. No bodies, no blood, no spent shells. Just the lingering smell of phantom gunpowder and the suffocating weight of what we'd just witnessed, twice. This was madness, sheer, unadulterated madness. Okay, Jay said, his voice strained. I'm officially losing my damn mind. Me too, I managed. Let's try dispatch again. I fumbled for my radio. Dispatch, unit, can you copy? Static. Thick, impenetrable static, like the call that had brought us here. Jay tried his. Same result. Comms are out, completely jammed. We were alone in this house, utterly alone with whatever this was. We searched this place top to bottom, I said, my voice harder than I felt. Every inch, there has to be an explanation. We did. We went through every room, every closet, the small attic space, the unfinished basement. Nothing. No bodies, no fresh bloodstains, no weapons, no signs of a struggle beyond what we'd seen happen. The house was just a house, a recently lived-in house where something terrible had clearly occurred, but all physical evidence of the victims and perpetrator had vanished, leaving only these impossible echoes. It was like the house was a stage, and we'd stumbled into a performance of some horrific, never-ending play. Exhausted, frustrated, and deeply, deeply unnerved, we ended up back in that upstairs bedroom. Jay walked over to the window, the one where we'd seen the initial flash. He stared out into the moonlit backyard. The moon was high now, casting long, eerie shadows. He was quiet for a long time. Then, "Hey, come look at this." I joined him. The backyard was mostly grass, a bit overgrown around the edges. A swing sat standing forlornly to one side. But under the pale moonlight, you could see them. Patches, rectangular patches in the earth, slightly sunken, where the grass was disturbed, darker. They were faint, easily missed in daylight, or from ground level, but from up here, with the angle of the moonlight? "What are those?" Jay asked, but I think we both knew. My stomach churned. He'd been in the backyard earlier. He hadn't mentioned seeing anything like this then. The angle, the light, it all mattered. "Let's get outside," I said. "Try comms again from there." We practically ran out of that house. The fresh night air, even though it was cold, felt like a blessing after the stale, charged atmosphere inside. My radio crackled to life the moment we cleared the porch. "Unit, dispatch, what's your status? We've been trying to reach you." Relief washed over me, so potent it almost buckled my knees. "Dispatch, unit, we're outside the residence. We need backup, and CSI, and maybe a priest, I don't know." "What's the situation, unit?" I took a deep breath. "Dispatch, we have what appear to be graves in the backyard, multiple." The silence on the other end was telling. Then, 10-4, backup and relevant units are en route. ETA 20 minutes. We waited, flashlights trained on those patches in the backyard, the house looming dark and silent behind us. It felt like it was watching us. When backup finally arrived, along with the detectives and the CSI van, it was like a dam bursting. The sheer normalcy of other officers, of procedure, was a lifeline. We gave our preliminary statements, trying to make sense of what we'd seen, leaving out the impossible parts for now. No one would believe us, not yet. The CSI team got to work on the patches. Shovels bit into the soft earth. It didn't take long. They found them, 3 bodies, 2 adults, a male and a female, in one shallow grave, consistent with what we'd seen in the upstairs bedroom. The decomposition suggested they'd been there for a few days at most. In a separate, even shallower grave, they found the younger boy. He too looked like he'd been there for only a couple of days. The bodies were bagged and transported to the morgue. The coroner wouldn't give any on-site preliminary beyond confirming they were deceased and the state of decomposition. We'd have to wait for the official autopsy for causes of death. The house was processed. They found our spent casings, the bullet holes in the wall of the hallway, but nothing else. No other weapon, no other shells, no blood that wasn't ours. Jay had nicked his hand on the broken doorframe. And the older brother, the shooter, no trace of him. Not in the house, not in any of the graves. He was just gone, as if he'd stepped out of the scene once his part in the replay was done. Days later, the full coroner's report came in. The parents had died from shotgun wounds, multiple, executed. The boy was different. He had injuries. A shotgun shot injured him badly, but the official cause of death? Asphyxiation due to suffocation. Dirt found deep in his lungs. He'd been buried alive, injured but still breathing. My blood turned to ice all over again, colder this time. The static-filled call. The distressed juvenile. He'd called from under the ground. He'd been calling for help as he was dying, as the earth pressed in on him. And the house? The house had shown us. It had replayed the tragedy, his final moments, his family's murder. We never found the older brother. The case went cold. Another unsolved family annihilation, with a supernatural twist that no official report would ever contain. Jay and I, we talked about it, just once, a few weeks later. We agreed we saw what we saw. We agreed never to talk about it to anyone else on the force. They'd think we were crazy. Maybe we were. But I know that house is still out there. And sometimes, late at night, when the radio's quiet, I can almost hear that static and a little boy's voice crying from the dark. I don't sleep much anymore. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed it, then comment down below and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time with another story. Until then, keep smiling and don't forget to like and subscribe.